Mr. Deputy Chairman, I rise to place before this House this bill for consideration and passage, which is a bill which has constitutional sanction for this Parliament to pass such a bill and adopt. In fact, in the concurrent list in the Constitution, the list number 17 and 17B empowers the central government to bring legislation to give effect to Article 48 of the Constitution, which, if Mr. Chairman, you permit me, I'd like to read it because it's so explicit. 48 states the following. It's in the directive principles, and it says the following, that organization of agriculture and animal husbandry, the state shall endeavor to organize agriculture and animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines, and shall in particular take steps for preserving and improving the breeds and prohibiting the slaughter of cows and calves and other wild cattle. In other words, prohibition of the slaughter of cows is there in the directive principles. Now, if this is read with Article 37 of the Constitution, which comes under Part 4, application of principles contained in this part. The provisions contained in this part shall not be enforceable by any court, but the principles therein laid down are nevertheless fundamental in the governance of the country, and it shall be the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws. So it's a direction. As an individual, I cannot go to court and say my fundamental right has been affected because you are allowing slaughter of cows. But as a government, you are directed to bring in laws in conformity with this article of the Constitution. And there are two judgments of the Supreme Court which clearly say directive principles have been regarded as the soul of the Constitution. And as India is a welfare state, they provide for guidance to interpretation of fundamental rights of citizens as also statutory rights. This is All India AIR 2015 SC 839. There's another judgment which says directive principles of the state policy lay down fundamental principles for governance of the country. And our government has been constantly talking about governance. So governance of the country, and through these principles, the state is directed to secure the control of material resources. So in other words, it is not directive principles is something just for, some utopian ideas being put in the Constitution, a wrong notion that has been spread for such a long time. It is a mandate and a direction to the government to enact laws in keeping with these principles. So this is the obligation which the government ought to discharge. But since I have seen there's been a delay, I thought I will help the government by bringing in a private member's bill, which I am thankful to this for allowing me to move. And yes, now I would also like to say this matter was debated in great detail and length in the Constituent Assembly. And there were pros and cons, but it is very significant that the Muslim members, the prominent Muslim members like Mr. Lari, all said we have no objection to a ban on cow slaughter. But the Hindus should make their mind clear, because they talk with two different voices. So let us have a clear statement of what you want. And then Ambedkar was asked to draft the compromise bill, and he then moved the amendment, and that amendment was adopted on the very last day of the Constituent Assembly meeting, which is 24th of November 1949. The cow eating was not prevalent during the Mughal period. In fact, the last Mughal Empire, or the last empire that we created was in 1857, when Bahadur Shah declared, the first thing he declared was a ban on cow slaughter. There are anecdotal information that Babur had told his son Humayun, one thing don't disturb the people on, don't allow the slaughter of cows. It's a sentimental issue which I have got to keep in mind. It is the British who made this cow cutting as a part of our regular fashionable cuisine, and that's how it became prevalent in our country. Now, therefore, I would say that why I am particularly keen is not the religious angle alone, that's a part of it, but the fact is now modern science has shown that the cow has multiple uses, and which cow? Bos indicus, as the breed name is given, that is the Indian cow. In America they call it the Brahmin cow, which I object to. I'm sure that Jairam Ramesh also must feel, because he doesn't identify with cows, so to have a Brahmin cow he may not like it at all. But the fact is, patents have been given for cow urine, because the urea that's produced is used in medicines, modern allopathic medicines. Well, I have got the patent certificate with me. I am not illiterates like you people. I am part of the BJP. Well, if you want to put it, I am not quoting from it. I am only giving an information that the US has given patents for urine to be used in medicine. And in the rural areas now, with some of the new firms, new institutions that have come out in Nagpur and Bhopal, our friend sitting here was chairman of one such commission which the state government had appointed. I am sure when he speaks he will give you much more detail. The cow dung has been converted into bricks for building solid houses. So therefore, those westernized types who have been stooges of the British, they may snigger when I mention the cow's urine and cow dung, but the fact is that the cow milk today is being sold in American supermarket, which I have seen with my own eyes, at 4 times the price of the American Jersey cow milk. Why? Because it's called A2 milk, and they say the medicinal quality of this is far superior, and therefore they have separate cartons in the where they keep the milk products. There, the cow from India, that milk is in a carton which is sold at 4 times the price. So hence I am saying that why should we wait for modern science to tell us all this? Our ancient rishis and munis have told us this, and the reason we have also raised the cow to the level of a spiritual being is because that is the best way to protect it. I was recently in China. I was surprised to find they don't have any cows. So I asked them, what do you do for milk? They say we use soya beans for milk. We crush it and get milk out of it. I said, what happened to your cows? They said every famine, cows were the first thing to be eaten. And then they said, you are lucky because you raised it to a religious symbol, and therefore you have so many cows. And if China also had adopted that, we wouldn't have had this problem. Therefore, this veneration of the cow is because of its justifiable qualities, special qualities, but at the same time, it also ensured that we have now 150 million cows which now have to be nourished and made into healthy animals and to be looked after. Now, I would like to say that there is a general problem. Why I have to bring this bill is, I think not only the looking after the cows, making them into full adults and then produce milk from them, and use the urine samples for medicines, or at least you can export it if you are not in a position to do it. These are some things, one stage. But what happens to the cow once it ceases to give milk? And that's the big problem today in the rural areas. I would say we should set up gaushalas in practically every village. The expenditure for that, our government is putting cess on so many things, they can put one more cess for goshalas, but make it optional. Say only those who want to give should pay this cess. From this cess, this whole country will be unitedly giving you much more than you will get for anything else. That is the sentiment today. That is the sentiment across the country. And this is what we want. This is part of our manifesto in the BJP. And therefore, this is something which has very wide support in the country. And also I would like to say towards the end that because cow meat has such a high export value, and therefore we have to have an extraordinarily harsh deterrent punishment. And that punishment could be considered only deterrent if we make it that a capital punishment should be given in extreme cases of people slaughtering cows. So this is the bill, this is the structure of the bill. After hearing it, you will give me an opportunity to reply, and at that time I will cover the other grounds which I have not covered just now.
Okay, thank you.